G'day everyone, and welcome to this incredibly exciting new season of the CFStrong podcast. I'm your host and fellow CF patient, Bradley Dryborough, and as a 20-something-year-old living with cystic fibrosis, I know that this decade of our life is not only challenging, but rather it comes with some big questions we ask of ourselves. I've taken the time to sit down with 6 guests who, like me, are all in their 20s living with cystic fibrosis as they share their honest and unique perspectives on 10 big questions. Across 10 separate episodes, I'll ask one question of all 6 of our guests. In this particular order, you can expect to hear answers from Adam, Blake, Caitlin, Ellie, Sam and Taylor. In this 4th episode of our series, we'll hear from each of our 6 guests as they answer the question, do you have a fitness or wellness routine that works for you? And what benefits have you experienced as a product of that routine?
It's changed a lot over the years. I would say before Trikafta, and then after, currently taking Trikafta, it's changed completely. So before I was on Trikafta, it was wake up, do physiotherapy, Pulmozyme, oral medications. Like that was like, I had to do that. That was just a part of my routine, and it was something that I stuck with as much as I could because it kept me healthy. Now in Trikafta world, as I like to call it, it's different. Like I just wake up now and I go about my day, and the things that I've replaced, the things that I've replaced with that old system have now just become like runs or eating well or trying my best to meditate or listen to good music and really enjoy the moments as much as I can. So, you know, at the moment, I currently go for runs. I really enjoy them because it's me, my headphones, and it's me in the world, and it's me in the air, and it's me in the cool breeze. And whenever I get home, I feel amazing. I have the best days after I go for it. I definitely get that runner's high. It's so good. Drumming as well is such a workout, and it's so cathartic too. And that's a big part of my wellness routine. Even if I'm not teaching, if I'm not playing in my band or playing professionally, even if I'm just playing by myself, it's so cathartic and it feels so good. And by the end of it, I'm usually drenched in sweat and feeling incredible too.
Yeah, no, well, pretty much all of my fitness comes from walking to and from the bar back to my table at whatever weird town I'm in. So yeah, no, fitness is probably not my point of expertise, I guess. I'm one of those ones who joined a gym once and then, now I just pay $40 a month for something I don't use. So that is where I need to improve. I'm not going to sit here and say that I do stuff that I maybe don't do. But yeah, it's, again, as I said, I work a lot at night. So, I don't have the, I'm not very accustomed to, getting up early and, I do love a sleep in. So that is where nobody should ever listen to me, I don't think. So yeah, I think I may just leave it at that.
I will ask you as a rebuttal to that, is there one form of exercise or one sport that catches the fancy a little bit that could be on the agenda for 2024?
I did just purchase a set of golf clubs, actually. My mum and dad are massive golfers. We lived right next to a golf club back home. So I tried to get into it a few times as a kid, but now I think I'm older. I'm a lot more, I think I'm keen to get into that because, it's also a good game for just playing with mates, and I can have a cheeky beer here or there on the golf course if need be. So yeah, I think golf is on the cards for me.
Well, I used to be a competitive dancer. So my whole life I have been quite fit and very into my fitness and danced a lot of classes throughout the week and as well as competitions, etc. Unfortunately, it got to a place where, my health couldn't keep up with it as much. So since then, I've found Pilates, Reformer Pilates in particular, and I really enjoyed that. Just to keep the body moving, and just to try to keep strengthening the lungs and the bones, because obviously CF has an impact on those. And remind me the second part of the question.
Just like a routine that works for you.
Yeah, so I try to do 2 to 3 Pilates classes a week, and then just walking the dog a couple of times a week as well.
So currently my fitness routine is Pilates. But I guess fitness is really interesting for me because I don't know if it's just out of pure boredom, but I get really like invested for a short period of time and almost like, oh, I've accomplished that now. Like what's next? So I guess I kind of, speaking from university onwards, I guess I was very in the gym, a lot of, you know, those Instagram like Stairmaster workouts and stuff, and it took me a couple of years to figure out it's probably not the best not the best advice to follow. So then I got really into weightlifting, and I found a lot of really great people on social media and PTs that were giving really, you know, really clear, good advice around the do's and don'ts in the gym. And I was doing that consistently for about 2 years, and I was really, really loving it. I mean, there were definitely ups and downs. I think weightlifting is such a great sport, and I would almost use it to kind of just like clear my head, as well as the fact that I was also seeing progress around becoming stronger. But it was also a really challenging one because you go through so many different phases with that kind of exercise around trying to gain muscle, but then also, I guess, cutting back on fat. So it really kind of like triggers a lot of body image stuff as well. So I was doing that really consistently and loving it for quite a long time. And then I kind of fell off of it and really started to resent it. So I was going to the gym and doing like a couple exercises and just saying, I have to leave. Like, I'm so overwhelmed and overstimulated, and there's too many people here, and, you know, everyone looks amazing. And like, I'm going to head out. So I was doing that. And then I wanted to improve on my cardio because of CF. And it kind of almost goes against what I just said about wanting to fit in, but I kind of almost use it as an excuse not to do it. Like, oh, of course I can't do cardio. Of course I can't like run because I have CF, and like I'm not good at cardio. But I was like, well, why not? It's because you're not doing it. Like, you haven't even tried, really. So I just started, you know, do a couple songs after your workout, and that's how it started. So I remember when I was really beginning, I could only run through like one song without then having to stop. And then it became 2 songs, and then it became 3 songs. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I can try and run for like 15 minutes without stopping. And then it became half an hour. And then I was like, okay, well, if I can do half an hour in the gym, like, let's get outside. Let's like run in nature. Let's get some fresh air. And it kind of, yeah, just like progressed so quickly from there. It was 1K to 3 to 5. And I remember, because I follow Josh on Instagram, I'm forgetting his last name, I think it's Jones. Yeah. And then I saw your profile through him as well. And I think at the same time, he was doing, I think, 5 miles a day. And it was when you were doing your 10K a day. And I was like, okay, that's kind of what I'm looking at doing. Like, I want to be able to do that. And then I saw the 42 for CF. And I was like, a marathon? I don't think I could do a full marathon, but like maybe I train to do a half marathon. Like, that would be, because I know that there's like a statistic around not many people around the world can say that they've done it. And I was like, how amazing would it be to say that I've done a half marathon, like, while having CF? So then I started training to that and kind of did some research, and the research that I'd done had said, you know, if you can get to 16, normally adrenaline can kind of push you through on the day. And I was like, okay, I feel like I can get to 16. And I remember the first time I did 16, I don't even think I'd set out to do the full thing. Like, it was just a really nice night with daylight saving, so it wasn't getting dark super quick. And I was like, okay, we'll just run for as long as you can. You know, if it's 8Ks, if it's 10, like, just, you can stop when you want. I kind of didn't put any pressure on myself. And I was getting really, I could do 5Ks is the hardest, I feel. Once you get past 5, I was like, well, I can do 10, like, easy. Like, I've gotten to that point. And I was like, no, okay, well, last time I stopped 2Ks before home, and it was more painful to have to walk home than it would have been if I'd just run home. So I was like, okay, I'll run home. And I think I got back and I was at 14. So I was like, I think I could do one more. And then kind of went around the block, tried to make up one more. And then I'd almost gone like too far. So I did the same thing. I was like, well, I can't stop now. I have to get home. And then I'd done the extra 16. And it was like, I just did that in like a couple months. And it was really like the progress was so fast that I couldn't believe it. And then I worked my way up. I actually booked to do a half marathon. And then I went away that weekend and I was like, oh, that's kind of frustrating. But, you know, I went away to go and meet up with a friend up in Grafton. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just do it the weekend I get back. I'll just do it on my own time, like, you know, relax, you know, take my time. And I finished and I was like shaking and like opening my door. And I just remember like lying on the floor, like crying. I was like, oh my God, I just did it. I just did it. And then, yeah, so that was just, I think, a really big personal goal that I feel like I just like knocked out of the park, because I was running and not even really getting tired, like keeping a steady pace. And I was like, I never thought I would be able to do something like that. And so I tried to keep that up, and then I ended up running 2 more. And I was like, I'm so happy with that. I'm kind of only running about like once, twice a weekish at the moment. So it's kind of gone back down. I did go through a challenge, like I did do 5Ks a day for a month. Kind of, yeah, inspired by you guys, not gonna lie. Smashed that out of the park, and kind of, I was also really supported at work through that. I was on a secondment in a different team while I was doing that, and they had an ultra marathon runner, so she was giving me just all the advice and all the tips, and kind of in our weekly meetings we would have photo slides, so every week would be like an update on my running, and once I did the full month and kind of let them know about the marathons and stuff, they're a massive support as well, and almost kind of helped me keep going. But at the moment, I kind of, yeah, I'm doing that less frequently, but still trying to keep it up, because I know, and even at clinic, they're really happy that I kind of taken running on kind of as definitely a better exercise for the CF. At the moment, yeah, I still kind of don't want to set foot in a gym just yet. So I'm sticking to Pilates at the moment, which is just like nice and relaxing, kind of, you know, good balance between that and the running, I feel. But I don't necessarily have a proper routine. I really like trying different things. But I also think that that's good, because I think that if I just stuck to the gym and never tried running, or, you know, never got into it, I kind of wouldn't have accomplished all of those goals, or I wouldn't have even thought to set them for myself, because like I didn't branch out.
Yeah, it's God, it can be hard sometimes keeping up with a routine, but the one I found is I love to be physically fit, and the way I can do that is by the first thing every morning, get up and do some kind of exercise, whether that be going to a boxing gym, going for a run, going for a swim. Yeah, I try to do it 5 times a week in the morning before I go to work, before I start my day. If I get that done for the first hour of the day, then the rest of my day is going to be fantastic. And that is what gets me out of bed in the morning. So, and also having physical hobbies like surfing, snowboarding, hiking, all that kind of stuff as well.
My fitness routine used to be really good. So I used to play a lot of sports growing up, go for a lot of walks or runs. Especially when I was on the Trifecta trial, I was super healthy again, so I could, you know, run for a while without leaning over and nearly passing out from coughing so hard. But now, after coming off the trial and then starting it when it came on the PBS, I have had an irrational fear, and I can identify it as irrational, where I'm worried I'm going to cough up blood if I go super hard again. Because the last bleed, it was kind of like have the clotting drugs and just hope for the best. Hopefully I don't have to call an ambulance, because I think I coughed up like half a cup last time. and it slowed, and that's good. But now I'm a little bit terrified because growing up I used to do boxing, kind of all that sort of stuff at different gyms with different friends, and I cough up blood during that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, I mean, it hasn't really made much of a difference, I don't think. Mental health, maybe. Walking on the treadmill, going out the back and playing with my 2 doggos, especially the big 47-kilo dog of mine, who's a total couch potato. But, yeah, playing with him, but doing Pilates at home and following a couple videos for like maybe between 5 minutes and half an hour, depending how I'm feeling that day, kind of helps a bit. Using my little 2-kilo weights, which probably doesn't sound like it'll do much, but hey, at least I'm trying. So yeah, that's kind of my fitness routine at the moment. It's kind of, if I'm feeling energetic enough and I'm not tired, I'll do it. Sometimes I'll be tired and I'll force myself to do it, but I don't do it consecutively every day like I want to. But then I have to remember I'm not always normal, even if I feel it with Trikafta. I still need my days to kind of not overwork anything. I'm not a fitness person either, really. Kind of tried to be when I was younger, but I was like, I like being in my pajamas all day sometimes. So, but yeah, that's currently my fitness thing, is mainly kind of at home Pilates, trying to connect, your mind to muscles. And I mean, it helps with anxiety too. So
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of our series. We thank you for taking the time to sit down and hear the value that each of our 6 guests provide, and we want to thank them for taking the time to be a part of the series too. We hope that this has not only been informative, but refreshing to hear that there are many different perspectives to each of these questions and challenges we face as CF patients. Once again, I'm your host, Bradley Drybra. Thank you so much for tuning in to the CFStrong podcast.